Hey everyone, well it is Thursday, May 14th, and well, what have I been up to? Crochet? Only making granny squares, and I'm making those 2-strand granny squares. I try to make like 5 to 10 a day, but I kind of think I'm taking a day off because I'm just tired of making them. But I am going through tons of yarn balls that I just had built up from making Afghans for the last year and a half. So see, I had this big bag here. It was actually overflowing. That's how much is left. It's like about half. So it's my goal to totally get rid of that. And today I shipped out to my niece 3 Jada Afghans, and she lives in Nebraska, and from LA to Nebraska the weight of the box was just over 9 pounds, so I had to pay, of course, a 10-pound weight, and I shipped in priority mail, so yeah, that was pricey, but it is what it is, and she will get them on hopefully Monday. But you know, there's a weird problem with my post office. I don't know what it is, but if you put your box on one of those little drawers on the inside of the post office, you know, those little bins, and you put your box in and you close the door, and the box falls into a bin on the other side. Yeah, well, they're not processing that stuff for at least 2 days. So whether they're short-handed or not, I don't know. So now what I do is I just take my boxes to the back dock and put them in the bins. Well, now those are being delayed by at least a day. So I really am not sure what is going on with the post office. Anyhow, ship those off. Now, you know, I was talking to you in the last video or two about stocking up. Well, here's one thing that you might not think about, and this makes the best macaroni and cheese ever. I mean, forget those little box mixes, forget making a bechamel sauce and putting the cheese in it, yeah, blah blah blah. Forget baking it in the oven. This makes the best. I don't know if you've ever bought this. 1 jar is good for about 1 pound of pasta. So you want nice creamy macaroni and cheese? And of course, this is not a sponsored video, but get this double cheddar ragu. Put some of that in your storage. It's great for making macaroni and cheese. My sister just sent me an email. Okay, great. Then, you know, my last video, I did not tell any family stories, and I think some of you kind of like it. So, I thought I would go ahead and tell a little bit more about my dad's side of the family and a little bit more about my grandmother. So, hang on just a second while I check it out. Okay, I'm kind of going to be looking at my computer screen a little bit while I talk to you about it. Okay, so I mentioned the last time that my grandmother was born in 1913, which was a year after the Titanic went down. Now, her first husband, who is my dad's biological dad, and I will refer to him as his biological dad, even though they got married. The marriage was very short, and I never ever met him or knew him, and he didn't have really any part of our family. He just did his own thing. I know he's married 5 or 6 times, so he just did his own thing. Now I have relatives that knew more of him and did more things with him, but my family didn't know him. Anyways, so he was born in 1911. So he's 2 years older than my grandmother. And let's see, where is she? Oh, there she is. Okay. Now my biological grandfather was from the Italian side of the family. And his side of the family actually had 2 Italian branches that came together. And stop it. So his father was my great-grandfather. I did meet him once. It just seemed to me when I met him that he was very elderly, and the reason for that is that he was born in 1889, and I probably met him, I want to say maybe in the early 70s or maybe the late 60s. So he's pretty elderly when I met him. That's all I remember about him, really. I think he was at my aunt's house, and he was maybe sitting on a garden swing in the back, and we went up to meet him, but that's all I remember is him sitting on that garden swing. Anyhow, his father, so my great-great-grandfather, was from Trenton, New Jersey, and he was a candy manufacturer and chocolatier. And so, yeah, I don't know too much about that part of it. I do know that there was a fire in the chocolate factory at some point, and they lost $1,000 worth of chocolates, which for the turn of the century would have been enormous. Before the turn of the 20th century, that is, so we're talking the late 1800s. And I do know he had a racehorse named Stanley Martin. And I'm not the kind of racehorse that would have been, say, in the Kentucky Derby. I think he was more like a little local racehorse, because he was also a workhorse for the family. And I'll read you this quaint little article from the news about a little horse race. Okay, I don't know when exactly this article came out in the paper, but I would say maybe around 1900. Maybe the early just between, say, 1900 and 1905, maybe. So it's kind of quaint the way it's described. Okay, so the title of the article is Trenton Horsemen Made Great Show. Shh! Okay, Trenton Horsemen made a magnificent showing Saturday in the first parade and outing of the Gentlemen's Driving Club. More than 100 horses and carriages were in line, and many of the turnouts were handsome enough to cause general comment. Particularly noticeable were speed wagons owned by Thomas Hickey and Thomas Earl. It was a turnout of horseflesh and a show of road wagons, of which Trenton can feel justly proud, and it demonstrated beyond all question that the local driving club is well organized and on the high road to success. The principal streets through which the parade passed were lined with persons both interested and pleased with the display. An informational racing card was carried out at the Fashion Farm track and was keenly enjoyed by the big attendance of members and guests. Winkler's band headed the parade and discoursed its best music during the afternoon. Harry Wright and J. Fred Marjoram directed the parade, and Leon Hutchinson had charge of the affairs at the track. What is thought to be the best speed event of the afternoon was a mile by Joseph Burton's Lady B in 2 minutes 23 seconds over the sandy track and hitched to a rather heavy road wagon. Sweet Innicara, with Earl Pittman driving, stepped the quarter in 3 3/4 quarter. Billard's Dossie Valier and Burton's Lady B went in a heat, in which Lady B claimed the honors in a 2-minute 33-second clip. Johnny Greenlander showed a 2-minute 8-second gait at the last quarter of a mile of a tour around the track. He paced from the 3/4 pole to the wire in 32 seconds. E.L. Kern's Big B, driven by Nipper Lewis, showed the way around the course to William Morris's Bay Easter Bell. I don't know if that's the same William Morris as the William Morris Agency out here in LA. I have no idea. The heat was taken by Ben B in 1 minute 17 seconds. Kitty Thistle, driven by her owner James Farrell, had 3 brushes with James Brown's Hindu Boy. Kitty trimmed Hindu the first half-mile heat in 1 minute 11 seconds, but in the subsequent heats she broke badly, and the Hindu came to the wire several lengths ahead. Brown's horse went the second heat in 1 minute 7 seconds and the third in 1 minute 8 seconds. Harry Norton's Jap and A. Arata's Stanley Martin. A. Arata is, I think, Amelia Arata, which was my great-great-grandfather's wife, did a half-mile heat, Arata's horse winning in 1 minute 16 seconds. A.D. Prickett drove Jap and Arata held the ribbons over Stanley Martin. Isn't that a quaint little article? Anyhow, what's interesting of the fact that he had a candy factory was the fact that I am so in love with the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And of course, the main character, Truly Scrumptious, her dad has a candy factory. And so, yeah, that's a lovely little thing. So, okay, so anyways, back to my grandmother. As it turned out, she married my biological grandfather. And let me just bring this back up. I have a little genealogical chart in front of me. So she was just past her 16th birthday, and he was just at his, or just before his, well, let's see, they were both born in October. Okay, so and he was just past his 18th birthday when they got married. I'm sure it was like a shotgun wedding kind of thing. And then, but like a week before they got married November 5th, 1929, and a week before the stock market crashed. That was a great crash of 1929. So they were married for, I think, maybe 4 years, and then they divorced, and they had another child in that time. And then a few years later, my grandmother married the man that I knew as my grandfather, and we always called him Pops. And so he was 18 years old when he married her, and she was in her early 20s. And so he took on this woman with 2 kids, and he treated her like a queen their entire marriage. And really, I just never knew any different than that he was my grandfather, even though he wasn't blood related. But he and my grandmother had a child, and so I was blood related to that one. And that child just died recently. In fact, all of my grandmother's children are passed away now. So, anyways, that's a little bit that side of the family. I do know that my great-great paternal grandfather, the one at the candy store, probably immigrated to the U.S. with his family from Italy. And then there's another Italian branch that is also from Italy. And those 2 branches combined, which I imagine would have been sort of normal. The Italians just kept with the Italians. And then when my biological grandfather married my grandmother, she was definitely not Italian, and so that ended that. And my dad is probably, well, he was maybe, I couldn't even tell you how much Italian was in him. But when we did a Ancestry.com thing, it didn't show any Italian really. So I have like no Italian in me. So yeah, go figure. Anyhow, that's a little bit of stories of my family and of that side. And I will tell you some of my mother's side in another video. Hope you all have a great rest of the day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.